Bring it. All right, everyone. Hello, welcome. We are live now from OpenLMS. This is the Innovation 2021 Summit pre-show. We're doing this to invite everybody to come in sort of before, that it's kind of like, you get to a conference and rather than rushing into the auditorium to see the first speaker or, trying to figure out where the room is to, go see the session that you want to, this allows everybody to sort of settle in, sit back, get comfortable. Right now, this is the pre-show that we're going to be talking about starting our first of three regions or first of three sessions that we'll be having for this summit. And the summit is going to be taking place in the Asia Pacific region. So right now it's, sometime in the morning in Australia, in Sydney. What time is it right now in Sydney? Do we know? 10 o'clock in Melbourne. It's 10 a.m. in Melbourne. So the official summit will start at 11 a.m. AEDT, Melbourne time, Sydney time. Then as this summit goes for the next 4 or 5 hours here, it's 5 or 6 hours, we will then be transitioning to the North America time zone. And the North America session will kick off. And then shortly after, concurrently, our Latin American session will kick off as well. And the Latin American session is going to be entirely in Spanish. So that's one of the reasons why I have my co-host here, Chris, who's sitting in. Where are you sitting in, Chris?
Hi, everyone. I'm in Bogota, Colombia.
Bogota, Colombia.
Finally.
I'll tell you, it's. I guess I'm kind of weird too. It's not like I'm sitting in Melbourne. I'm actually sitting in Mexico City. So we're representing the Latin America, contingent quite well. But so we'll have those three sessions. So what we wanted to do here in this pre-show is we wanted to make sure that we sort of give everybody a chance to look over what's going to be happening here in Asia Pacific. And anybody who's joining us from North America as well, or Latin America, we want to get you excited about what's going to be happening just in, what about 12 hours or so in your part of the world as well. Different speakers in each of the sessions, totally different speakers. So each of the regions have their own, their own unique flavor, their own unique takeaways, their own knowledge that we're going to be putting out there. And
except
go ahead.
For one.
Oh, well, except for two speakers. We do have Tanya Riney from IntelliBoard. She'll be speaking in two of the sessions in both North America and Australia, or the Asia Pacific time zone. And Herman from OpenLMS will be also speaking in several of the different ones. So let's say they tie it together. That's what they do. They tie it together.
Exactly.
Yours truly, I'll also be your host for the North America session as well. But Chris, why don't we start by everybody who hasn't seen this before? I mean, if you're here, this is sort of a user conference for OpenLMS and OpenLMS clients. Let's do our OpenLMS show and let's give them the 2 minutes on who OpenLMS is.
Okay, that would be. There we go.
One of our sponsors, Respondus. Why don't we then now let's do the Sumati advertisement. So one of our other sponsors as well. Let's just show them Sumati while we're at it.
All right.
Love it. I wish I could put videos together that cool. I'm not that cool. And what's the third one that we have? We have IntelliBoard. Let's throw IntelliBoard up there as well. I just want to know, can the e-learning universe be any more epic? Hardest your world. Absolutely fantastic. Now, let's take the. Oh, but then we don't have that. So I guess we don't have our 2-minute OpenLMS video available here, do we? This is why we do a pre-show, folks.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Okay, it'll be there in a few seconds. It'll be there in a few seconds. Would you do me a favor? Could you, while it's uploading and getting in there? Oh, is it coming in right now?
Not quite. This is the program. Let me.
All right, so you can see on our screen, this is the reception area. We'll be talking about that in a few minutes here. I'm going to go through each of the speakers that we're going to be having coming on on the stage today. We have kind of a really interesting format as well, in that the first two sessions of the day are going to be on our main stage. So we'll have Phil Miller, who's our executive director. He's going to be giving a welcome to everyone and talking about what he sees as, sort of how we got to where we are today over the last 18, 20 months, and what he sees kind of coming around the corner for 2022. And then we have Simon from Go One, Simon York, who is going to be really, he's going to be on the main stage talking about content, really. I had the privilege of interviewing one of his colleagues, Chris Eigert, for the eLearning podcast recently as well. And the Go One story is it's magical. I'm super excited to have these guys as partners, as part of the Open LMS universe. And I'm sure that Simon's talk is going to be really focused on how do you find that right content at the right time for the right people. But of course, I'm not going to try to steal his thunder. We have that Open LMS video now, or are we still waiting for it?
Yeah, it's loading. But yeah, I want also to remind you that if you can see these buttons, you have the add to my agenda. So whenever you click a session to add to my agenda, you will be logged in, as you can see. And when you click on your agenda, you will see everyone.
Perfect.
Every session that you're going to see. And here you'll get a little notification whenever the session is about to begin. And the video should be here.
All right. So now we're going to introduce you to Open LMS here. This is why we do a pre-show. I love it. Can we hear it? Chris? Chris, we don't have any audio on this side.
Oh, I'm sorry, but there's no audio. I'm not sure what's. It was just really cool beats.
Just really cool beats. Nice. Excellent. All right. Can you would you mind pulling up while we're at it then, since the video was there, would you mind pulling up just the Open LMS homepage for me? I love doing these things on the fly. See what we can get going here. Let's see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 36. So we got roughly 40 speakers that are coming at you across these 3 different sessions across Asia Pacific, across North America, Europe, sort of Middle East, North America, and then Latin America as well. And now that I'm really thinking about it as well, in Latin America, several of the sessions are panels. So we're probably bringing to the table closer to 50 super high quality speakers. These are not people who we kind of just pulled off the street. These are people who are our clients. These are people who are innovators. These are people who are on the cutting edge of e-learning. And I just want to introduce Open LMS. We are a provider of services that gets you, your school, your institution, your company, your masterclass. We get you online and we get you going. We do that by providing Open LMS EDU or Open LMS Work, which are it's an open source learning management system that can really be customized to your needs. And one of our huge things that we want to put out there is that open is a really important part of our ethos. It's a really important part of what we do. And to that end, we don't want the learning management system to be the reason why, or the price of the learning management system to be the reason why you're making a choice. We want it to be the quality. We want it to be the service. We want it to make sure that you're achieving the outcomes that you're able to achieve, again, for your school, for your institution, for your company, or whatever. And that's what we specialize in. We decided to put on this conference together. We decided to put on this conference for the first time, this user conference, because we've really reached that point in the history of Open LMS where it's time to start, talking about what does this brand mean? What does, we have clients all over the world. How do we speak in this one voice to get our message out there? And so we're excited to welcome everyone here. Chris, what do you look like you want to jump in here and say something?
Yeah, like it's not a secret for many people that we are new in this company, but we were covering this company and sort of the ecosystem of OpenLMS, of learning management system, of eLearning for many years actually. And what strikes me now is the fact that I was not aware of how much was happening inside OpenLMS, and I think Open is not it's not taken for granted. Like this is
it's
an
not
open
just,
company.
it's not lip service. It's not, we don't just say the word open.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly, because there's all the conversations that I've had, even with some of the people, with Herman, for example, it's all about different approaches to solving problems, leveraging openness. Openness as in open source, openness as in ecosystems that do not really lock you in, openness as in there are two different ways to approach a subject and you can choose, and many other ways. And that has been a positive surprise for me. And I hope that one of the goals of this conference is for people to really understand how we approach openness, or not we, but in the sense that many different people inside this organization have different attitudes around openness, and there's a lot of free debate and like autonomy and freedom to try things out, to figure out what's the best course of action to solve a given problem. And I think that's really exciting.
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. As you said, it's most of the people who are probably watching this right now, it's no secret that you and I are new to the OpenLMS universe. We are both from an organization called LMS Pulse, which is now a very happy member of the OpenLMS family. And we are, over the last 3 months, we've been sort of swimming around and figuring out, what goes where and where we fit. But super welcoming community. And one of the great things to discover is that ethos of, really talking the talk and walking the walk on that openness model. We're excited. So while we're here, then I want to thank Ann Mustin. Ann, you've come to the eLearning Success Summit a couple of times. You've definitely been on some of the lives with us as well. I super appreciate you coming out. I want to remind you, Ann, since you're listening, that the next session, the North America session, which will be happening at 9 a.m. Eastern time, will also be available to you. So if you want to check that out as well, it's probably a better time for you there in the UK to watch it, But I'm not sure, Kirst, what are we doing about recordings? Do we have that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this session is going to be available on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And when it comes to the event as well, when you're in, a couple of minutes after every session ends, you will get to see them on the replay action. Well, there's nothing yet, but
yeah, they're not there yet because we haven't even started the show yet. Yeah.
But yeah, everything will be there available. And after the event, we'll very likely be able to make it available to everyone.
Awesome. Before we, I think it would be a good idea to, kind of walk through step by step what the Hopin platform looks like, where we're actually having the live summit that's going to be starting here in just 45 minutes for the Asia Pacific region. Before we do that, could we switch over to the eLearning community that's powered by OpenLMS now? So I want to, one of the things that we're going to be talking about a lot throughout the summit is, the power of community, the power of the fact that, everyone that's at this summit are, we're all passionate about eLearning. But one of the neat things about it is that we're passionate about eLearning, but we kind of come at it from many different angles, right? Maybe you're a teacher or an instructor, or maybe you're a designer, or maybe you are somebody who, works on ed tech and you're an innovator. Maybe you are a masterclass, subject matter expert. Maybe you are someone who is a support staff or something like that. The community that we've created over at OpenLMS has a place for everyone. essentially. And I want to emphasize that it's not just a community for Open LMS clients. It's a community for anyone who's passionate about e-learning. If you wouldn't mind, Chris, can you scroll up and click on the groups? Is that where we're at right now? Okay, so we're looking at groups now. You can see that we've started to create out, like we have a group for Spanish speakers. We have a group for Portuguese speakers. We have a group that's just for administrators, people who are in the back end. We have a group who are just focused on higher education. And we're kind of always mixing and matching to see what makes sense. We put together country groups as well for people to cluster together and see if we can, hopefully we're going to be creating masterminds as well. But then we also have topics and threads. So we try to keep everybody abreast of what's happening with the Open LMS platform through our, what's planned and what's happening. We have a beta tester group. Like every day we're sending out things through the announcement channel. One of the most important ones, if you go up to the top left there, Chris, is one of the most important topics is the seeking advice topic, right? The seeking advice topic is hey, you know what? I don't even know where to get started. Or maybe you want to get super granular, and you can see here, there's a question about the personalized learning designer, something that's in the Open LMS universe. And what we want to see, or what we're encouraging people to do, is come in and say, hey, look, here's my question. And it could be anything from, how do I get my masterclass started? How do I get my, my first course online to, I have a really difficult question about this one plugin that I'm working on, and there's either something I don't understand, or a feature I don't want, or I want to learn how to use, who's done it before. So across the entire spectrum, we have experts in the community, not only from Open LMS. So our entire team pays attention to this and answers questions, but from around the universe. So even if it's something outside the Open LMS ecosystem, we really want you to, kind of dive in there and raise your hand and say, look, I want to hear, I want to ask this question, I want to get an answer to it. And by doing so, we actually build the knowledge of the entire community, and we make it more helpful and more useful and more valuable for everyone. You can see here a comment from my colleague, Maddie Zimmerman, that if, you're looking, maybe if you're listening to me right now and you're like, wow, it's getting too late. I didn't, I signed up for this stream that's going to be in Asia Pacific. We do have 2 other streams. I'll remind you. One's going to be North America, Europe, Middle East time. That starts at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we also have another one that's Latin America. So if you're a Spanish speaker, hablan español, or is it? Yeah, I guess so. Hablo español? No. And so if you want to switch to one of those sessions, Maddie here's saying, we could switch you over. We can swap you to that stream. Just give us an email over there at contact@OpenLMS, and they'll be happy to help if you want to move your ticket over there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to add that, going back to what you were mentioning about this community and just trying to figure out or find questions and stuff. Personally, one of a success story for me of the people who are joining this event is that after this event, and we know there's a lot of content, a lot of process. We did the summit on April, and it was the same. There was just 70 hours of content, just straight up. So people need to take the time to process things, to find the real value for their specific case. A success for this event, personally, would be if after this event, people would join the community and start trying to figure things out and getting help, like in more specific ways, like say, oh, I just watched this session by Mark or by Shannon, and now I want to put it into practice. And I'm thinking about this. Have you had any experience, or do you have any tips? And I think that would be a great thing to see.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. Absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things about a summit, is bringing everyone together to discuss topics and because this is called Innovation 2021, right? Like to have that future looking vision about, here's what I think is coming next, or here's the path that we're on, here's our strategy for going forward. I know that some of our keynote speakers from Amazon Web Services are going to be talking about that. And then bring that to the community, or bring that, to this forum here that we're showing right now over at OpenLMS, community.openlms.net. And how do I start talking about, how do we put that into practice? How do I make that a reality for myself, or how do I get deeper on that, or how do I go further? We're 20 past the hour. We're going to be here for about another 20, 25 minutes, and then we're going to go offline to give everybody a chance to, warm up their coffee. My case, probably fill up my bottle of water or something like that, and just get ready for the beginning of the Asia Pacific session, which starts at 11 a.m. AEDT, which is in Sydney and Melbourne. But Chris, let's walk through the hop-in system. Let's just walk through the platform, kind of go and figure out what each piece is, just so that people can know where to look for the different pieces.
All right. Well, for starters, we have like these 4 sort of suggestions. And it's first, pick your presenters. So as I mentioned, you can build your schedule, your own agenda using the buttons here. The agenda is internally. The calendar would open to your calendar client. The second one was to get questions ready, try to figure out what a session could answer for you, and at the end, make sure that it answered properly or figure out if it was of any additional value. We recommend a lot to connect and network. And in fact, we have this option, networking, and it will allow you to connect with anybody in the event. This is a bit randomly. You can always also connect in the chat. You can message directly anybody, speaker, sponsor, attendee. And finally, just, I don't know, enjoy yourself, bring your good energy.
Sure, for sure. Let's take a second there while you're there. I know we did this at the beginning, but give another shout out to IntelliBoard, to Open Sesame, Respondus, Sumati, and Small, who are all sponsors of our summit. I think Shay, our colleague, says this the best. Everything great. You can't do it by yourself. You always stand on the shoulders of giants. You always, these things always come out of community. It's the people that you work with and that you surround yourself with that allow these kinds of innovations and these successes to happen. I also encourage you to go check out, later, our media partners, eLearn magazine. That is a long form magazine that goes, in depth into the critical issues that are facing e-learning professionals and those that are passionate about e-learning on a regular basis through case studies, through interviews, through deep dives into topical, different topics around e-learning. We just had a whole quarter that was focusing on how do you do video better, and everything from getting your lighting right to positioning yourself on camera to what's the length of video you should use. Like all kinds of different experts weighed in on how you do video better. And also LMS Pulse. LMS Pulse is where Chris and I kind of came from. That's the audience that's probably here knows us from. And we are more of a the LMS Pulse site is more of a what's happening in e-learning today. What new technologies out there, what updates are happening, who are the new players, what strange or interesting moves are happening in the marketplace, how are the different LMSs shaking out against one another. And obviously over at LMS Pulse as well, you can find the e-learning podcast and the e-learning hot seat as well. All of these, of course, now all live under the Open LMS brand, and we're all part of the Open LMS family. I want to remind everyone that on the left-hand side there, you're going to see, we're in what's called the reception area right now at Hop-In that you're seeing on your screen. On the left-hand side there, you're going to see that there's both a stage and sessions. So those are the two icons that are just below, reception there. Our first two parts of the event and our very last part of the event, the keynote speak, will take place on the stage. And so this is going to be, a very focused event where you come in and there's going to be one speaker, and everybody in the session are going to be, focused on this, this one speaker on the stage. After the stage happens, we're going to have concurrent sessions. So you can go into the sessions tab and you'll be able to dive into whichever sessions you've put onto your agenda. And they're on when they happen in the schedule. That's when they'll appear there in order for you to actually click on and get moving on. But you can choose. So let's roll down and let's see who we have. As I said in the beginning, we're going to be welcomed by Phil Miller, who's our executive director, managing director here at Open LMS. Phil's got a great message to put out about what's been happening over the last 18, 20 months, and then what he sees as we turn the corner into 2022. Simon Ewart, who is from one of our partners, but he's the head of partner success in APAC for Go One, which is one of Australia's unicorns.
EdTech unicorns.
Say again.
EdTech unicorns.
All right, one of Australia's EdTech unicorns. I'm really excited to hear what he's going to be talking about content. And then we're going to go into the sessions. So Germán Rojas Munoz, sorry. Talk about how do we get to 2030, right? And what do we need to do in order to get to 2030 successfully in the e-learning space? Concurrently with Germán is going to be Tonya Riney, one of our favorite guests that we've had in the e-learning hot seat. We've had her in the e-learning success summit. You've probably seen her name all around the e-learning universe. She's the chief operating officer over at IntelliBoard, and she's going to be talking about how you tell stories with data and how to use it effectively. And that is exactly what the IntelliBoard system is all about. And so if there's anybody who you want to talk to about that, that's Dr. Tonya can absolutely do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The next, yeah, she's fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just want to check the time there, make sure that we're on time. The next two concurrent sections, Dr. Kuva Jacobs and Jason Davey from Redpoint Consulting, they're going to talk about using Miro to drive collaborative virtual learning. And I'm really excited to see this session personally because it's going to be somewhat interactive. They have a type form survey that they want to put out there right at the beginning. They want to use some that data to do some ideation, and then really actually have an interactive session to pull out, how do we do collaborative virtual learning. Concurrently, Shannon Kennedy Clark, who is with the Sydney International School of Technology and Commerce.
That's right.
She's going to be talking about the rapid evolution from novelty to necessity, from novelty to necessity, right? And sorry, Chris, did you have something to add there? Or you just...
No, I was just trying to memorize Sydney International School of Technology and Commerce.
It's a lot of words there. SISTC.
It doesn't work.
And it's going to be a talk that takes us through, how did we go from being a novelty, something where I'm old enough, you can see the gray hair, remember, when, getting online or having your class online was just like, ooh, that was a nice balance, a nice little trick, so to speak, that some professors would have in college. To now it's an absolute necessity. You cannot see a future where e-learning does not play a role. Either that's in a fully immersed online program, whether it's a self-paced course, whether it's blended learning, whether it's whatever format that it takes for you, it will be a part of your future. The next two concurrent sessions, who do we have there? If you wouldn't mind scrolling down. We have creating personalized and collaborative learning in sales. Oh, of course, Dean Saunders, who is our vice president of product here at OpenLMS. He was, the founder and person who started eCreators, that is now also a part of OpenLMS as well. It's always fun to talk to Dean. Of course, this year or in this summit, won't be talking. It'll be, every single one of these will be presentations, kind of TED Talk style for about 20, 25 minutes. But Dean's going to be talking about collaborative learning versus personalized learning, and what works, what doesn't work, when to use one, when to use the other one. Another one of our colleagues, Mark Biley, will be talking about the secret to learner engagement in e-learning. We had, Chris and I, earlier this year in April, we had an entire summit on this one topic about how do you increase learner engagement. This is one of the topics that you hear all of the time across e-learning, where it's, my kids can't stay online, or, how do you, increase completion rates, or, any number of ways of how do I make sure that learner outcomes happen. Mark's going to be talking about that kind of stuff. Then we're happily going to take a break. We're going to make sure that everybody can get some coffee. Everybody can, in this case,
Yep. Well, the invitation here is
I see that it's in Bogota time. It'll be 9:15 p.m. rather than Australia time, because you're in Bogota. But that'll be, kind of, probably lunch break, really, sort of 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, but an opportunity to join the network at random if you want. You can also check out the booths. There might be some people there if you want to talk to our sponsors, just stretch your legs.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And we will reset and make sure that we get everybody back on time for these two concurrent sessions, which is Craig Smith, who's going to be talking about building online communities of practice. and he's from Positive Partnerships, which I'm really interested to see how this, what this talk is all about, because one of the things I love the most about e-learning is that it doesn't just happen in schools, right? Online learning happens in companies. It happens in non-governmental organizations. It happens in government bodies. It happens in, so many different ways that the number of case studies is infinite. And so this is going to be another one about how we're, looking at that collaboration between, as it says here, between educators and families. Then Dave Marcial, he's a director at the Silliman University in the Philippines. He's going to be talking about upskilling teachers for effective online teaching. I recently had Dave. I was lucky enough to interview Dave for a profile on eLearn magazine. This guy knows his stuff, right? He's able to talk about how that university was prepared for the pandemic because they had a strategy in place already for bringing their university entirely online. And it's really a great story of, making sure you get your students and your teachers ready.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Chris.
That is also interesting that when we think about innovation, especially in e-learning, I don't know, there seems to be an association with the IT staff, with the people who build the systems, who create the courses. But I think it's very important to see how those issues or those topics of innovations are considered like at the top of an organization, of a university. So I'm really looking forward to see this one.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping that he actually, if he's willing, I don't know, to just look at that strategy, right? Because he kind of talked about how they had this 5-year plan, and how it how it kind of rolled out and whatnot. It was fantastic. I thought you were going to go with that is something that I'm personally fascinated in as well, is the focus in e-learning is so often on the technology, on the shiny new object, on the new mobile app, on whatever it is, and it's really easy to get lost in that conversation at the expense of how are we innovating in just sort of the design of the course, or how are we thinking about how we're adapting ourselves as instructors to deliver in this format or to deliver in a different way. And so I think that those are really key. Those are just two of many different kind of topics that are not tech related, but kind of think about the education universe in a different way, because we just we're able to educate anytime, anywhere now. How are we adapting ourselves in order to maybe that's what Herman's going to talk about, probably. Our last concurrent session, Tanya Grambrower. And who's the second one?
Liam
Liddycoat. Yeah. So one of our colleagues, Liam, I'll talk about Tanya first. Tanya has been working at Literacy for Boys and Literacy for Kids for quite a while. And she's going to be talking about that, importance of reporting in primary and lower secondary education. Really interesting case study. And I'm excited to hear what she has to say about learning about what keeps kids engaged, what keeps kids involved, what keeps kids, moving forward in this really, really important topic of literacy. Liam is going to be talking about, again, he's another one of our colleagues. He's going to be talking about building an e-learning library. We've seen quite a few topics, blog posts, videos, stuff coming out recently, and about the importance of having that content library that your staff, your course creators, your designers can pull from in order to build effective courses, not only rapidly, but with high quality. And so Liam's going to be talking about that.
Yeah, that's there's another idea, and that's something that I've realized even more since I'm part of OpenLMS, and it's that one way where you innovate is by connecting ideas that were not previously connected. And when it comes to teams and people, the sources for those ideas are in someone else or in another team. So I'm really excited about the possibility of being able to interact with different teams, each one with their own sets of rules, the way they work, and see how we can connect ideas together. Not that it's easy, not that it's not full of, missteps, but it is exciting.
But isn't that part of the it's the gorgeousness if you allow yourself that sort of ability to create, fail, adapt, retry, etc., etc., etc. Yes, Phil Miller. Yes, we do like to just pregame. Actually, I saw the comment come up on the screen from Scott Pleasance, and I just want to call out. Sometimes we do get a little jargony in our universe. I want to make sure that everybody understands that APAC stands for the Asia Pacific region. So if you think sort of Sydney, Melbourne, Australia, up through Southeast
New Zealand.
Asia. So we want to make sure you say that. And so what NAM and LAC mean are North America and Latin America and the Caribbean. And so just want to make sure that everybody understands we have 2 other sessions. So the Asia Pacific session starts in 25 minutes here. So Chris and I are going to be closing up here in about 10 minutes to get everybody shuffled over to that stream and get that going. And then North America and Latin America are going to be happening a few hours later, about 10 hours later. Actually, I guess it will be 12 hours later in North America. Sorry, 9 a.m. East Coast time tomorrow. Let's look at the last concurrent sessions before we get to our keynote. The personal development facilitated by Innovative Learning. This is Michael Bernard. And again, it's another awesome case study about where we can find e-learning making a difference, right? And this is about supporting young people aged 9 to 15 years old. So often we hear the stories maybe coming out in the media of hey, my kid was terrible, the e-learning was terrible for my kid, or they didn't learn anything, or it wasn't effective for them. And I've seen the media cherry pick a lot of that over the last 18 months here, but there are so many success stories about students that we were able to adapt to get through the pandemic as we continue to move forward in that particular piece. But also, as I said earlier, e-learning and online learning are a part of the future. It's not an if, or it's not a maybe. It is, and it will be a part of the future. And so how we adapt that, how we bring that in, and how we make that those pieces accessible and comfortable for everyone who's using it is critical. And Michael's going to be talking about that. The other concurrent session is, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that in the Silicon Valley startup circle, for a couple of years, you hear these things of software is eating the world. Like more and more industries are becoming software intensive or software dominant. And I think something like that is happening in a way with e-learning. Like e-learning is eating out not just education, not just basic education, higher ed, corporate learning, but there's a lot of ways. And I don't know if this is the right moment to mention it, but I think a very good source of different ideas of how diverse use cases for e-learning is in the podcast, in the e-learning podcast.
True that. You can't. I couldn't have thrown that in there better. Nice. I want to put everybody's attention there at the bottom of the screen as well. Just a little sneaky thing there. There is a special way that you can get a nice discount on some of the Open LMS Academy courses if you stick with us through the Innovation Summit. In each of the sessions, we're going to be revealing how that can happen as well. I want to just call out the last concurrent session with Michael is Maria Pineda. Sorry. About designing a virtual teacher training program. And again, it's another super interesting topic that's I'm really interested to see what not only what value they grab from the session immediately, but then, as you said so correctly, Chris, like watch the session, engage, do some of the Q&A, and then noodle on it for a while, and then bring that session over to the community and say, hey, look, I was thinking about Maria's talk, and I'd like to know more about blah, 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 right? Maria's over in the community. We've seen her over there. She's been answering questions and contributing as well. And so it's a great way to connect after the conference to continue to grow as an e-learning professional. And then our final session, fantastic keynote with Kevin Bell. He's from Amazon Web Services. He's the head of higher education and research for ANZAC and AWS, so for ANZ in AWS. And you tell me what you think of this title, right? Undisguised Trivialities and the Coming of Cyberocracy. And if you look through the description here, man, he's got Orwell, he's got Aldous Huxley. This is this is heavy. This is great stuff. And so I'm really excited to see how Kevin is going to be able to pull these two kind of things together. And as he says there, uh, move for, technical savvy, as a most human skill, but redesign what education, ultimately looking at redesigning what education really is and how it happens.
And
That's fantastic.
it's interesting. Like I cannot help to see like there's AWS thinking about things that sound kind of dystopian, and I know there's a lot of people who have these concerns or these views of e-learning or digitalization as um, dystopian. So it will be really interesting to see what's his take or his response to that.
Absolutely. And then after Dr. Kevin Bell is finished, you're adding that to your agenda. Nice, way to go.
Yeah.
Yours truly will, kind of just tie everything in a bow. Like I said, if you stick around, we're going to teach you. We're going to tell you how to get a 25% off Open LMS Academy courses, which are these super high quality, in depth courses about being a better online professional, using online systems better, et cetera, et cetera. Really high quality stuff there. So it's a really nice deal. And also we'll be pointing you to other resources, like reminding you about the Open LMS community and whatnot. What else do we want to put on the page here, Chris?
We have maybe we'll have the time to cover all
Ooh,
stuff, but I think it's important just the fact that some of the courses that you mentioned are taught by Amy, which is the
totally. Yeah.
speaker, the opening keynote for the North America session.
Okay.
She was like a sleeper hit in our engagement summit.
Yeah, and the eLearning Success Summit back, just in April, Amy's session was more than a sleeper hit. It was outstanding. Really, really stood out among that. You can see there. We obviously don't have time. We don't want to go through every single person in North America there, but you can see really interesting stuff that are coming out. I'm really interested in the Montana Digital Academy. We've got two sessions from those guys, from Jason Neffer and Mike Agostinelli, who I'm sure I'm going to butcher his name a number of times tomorrow. But both of them are, about really solid case studies about using online learning effectively. Again, you can see some of our sponsors as well. Monica Mayan and Francisco Perez are going to be talking. They're going to be talking about delivering a proctoring solution to what? It was like 300,000 students in Colombia through the Sumati platform last year when online learning went online. It was necessary because of the pandemic. Actually, huge case study. Tom Turnbull from Open Sesame, he's going to be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and adaptive learning through machine learning. That's going to be crazy. And then, why don't you take us just really quickly through the Columbia agenda? I mean, obviously, I'm looking down at the very bottom there, Julio, who is an EdUtuber. He's like one of the most famous YouTubers down there, and he's going to be our keynote for that. But what else do we have in store?
Yeah. Let's. I want to get into that, but first, of course, Phil he's going to open again, and we have a very interesting panel that reflects sort of the state of e-learning across Latin America. So we chose a selection of partners that were with us, and what are their views on different issues. So it's going to be a very interesting panel where they are debating questions. And just sharing their views. So I think it will be very, very interesting. Then we have a couple of sessions, but again, I don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of them that are actually in Portuguese, because we have quite a few Portuguese attendees in this event. That's really exciting. And again, I think you see like a reflection of universities, higher education, schools, corporate training in ways that may not fit your idea of e-learning. I've also noticed that both on the sponsors and some of the speakers are focused primarily on examinations, proctoring. So these are use cases that are not just teaching. They're actually not teaching at all, but just training, taking tests, and so on. Showing again like the different ways that these systems can solve any variety of problems. The case that you just mentioned with the national examinations here, it's also really, really exciting.
Mhm.
And of course, we have a very good closing. I think this is going to be very exciting for Colombian educators and Latin American educators. Julio Profe is like an edu influencer, has like 4 million subscribers on YouTube, and he has a Guinness World Record for the most attended online course with I think over 300, no, I'm sorry, 200,000 concurrent students in a massive open online course.
That is pretty massive. Oh my
So
lord.
yeah, I, I have a ton of questions that I wish I could ask him, and I believe people would too.
Do it over in the community there, my friend. Do it over in the community. We'll invite Julio over. Maybe we'll just have like an e-learning hot seat session just with him to continue that conversation. I think that's a great idea. All right. For everyone who can see it in LinkedIn or in Facebook or on YouTube or whatever, it's time for us to get offline here, get everybody over to the APAC session. I've just put there in the chat, but also here, it's on your screen here. Join us over at the Asia Pacific stream for the first session, which is going to be starting at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock Melbourne, Sydney time, or AEDT. It's going to be an exciting session. Actually, Chris, why don't we close this out with going through our three advertisers, our three sponsors, the advertising we have from our three sponsors. Then we'll close this out and we will get over to the session.
All right.
Which one we start with? Awesome. Coming up next, I believe it's Respondus.
Yeah, something.
Well, we'll be seeing that again in about 10 minutes. Let's do IntelliBoard while we got it.
Wait, can I just try this one again?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Let's see that.
Anyway.
I think we found the problem. When you go full screen, when you take us off, then that's it. All right, everyone, we're going to jump off here. Look in the chat there for the link to go to the Asia Pacific stream. We're going to be on live in 10 minutes at 11 o'clock AEDT, which is Melbourne, Sydney time in the morning. And we're going to be kicking it off with our executive director, Mr. Phil Miller. So he's always a lot of fun, so it should be a great time. See you over there, Chris.
See ya. Thanks.